Where's my cheesecake? Why do I want cheesecake? Well, it's been exactly 7 weeks, 49 days since we had to close these gates and close the shul to all minyanim. In fact, the last minyan we had, Mincha Mariv, 7 weeks ago, in the garden out there, Kaddish at the end of it, probably one of the most difficult Kaddishim I've ever had to say. But those 49 days, of course, brings to mind, especially at this time of the year, the festival of Shavuos. We count the 7 weeks from Pesach up until Shavuos when we commemorate the giving of the Torah. And amongst the customs of Shavuot is the eating of cheesecake. I don't know whether we're going to get cheesecake at the moment or whether I'll have to wait until the festival comes around. But these 49 days have led me to think. You see, in order to go from slavery, from Egypt, to be the free men, princes and princesses, to have the crown of Torah put on our head, to enter into that contract with God, when heaven and earth met together. In order to have that, we had to change. We had to change from being slaves to being a prince and a princess. And even though the gift that we were receiving was the gift of Torah, the change that we had to undergo was not one of intellect, but rather was one of emotion. The Kabbalists, the Jewish mystics, tell us that the heavenly man upon which we are created is made up of 10 emotions, 3 intellectual and 7 emotional. And in the 7 weeks we have to work on our 7 emotional attributes to be able to receive the gift from God. It's not only about having an intellect to be able to understand. It's about having an emotion to be able to connect with another person. A slave can be very clever, but he's not necessarily allowed to connect with another person. His time is not his or her own. And so therefore, our obligation is to work upon how we interact within each other with our 7 emotional attributes. Maybe that's by the end of it, we get given the gift of a cheesecake. And so as we commemorate the end of 7 weeks, if we want to open these gates again, it's not necessarily going to be by spending all of our time learning, but rather it'll be about spending our time figuring out how do we get on with one another. There can be a silver lining. There can be something good that comes out of this pandemic, out of this enforced lockdown, out of not being able to say Kaddish and daven with the minyan. It's the fact that we've had to spend 7 weeks, and hopefully we've spent 7 weeks figuring out what it means to be a mensch, what it means to be a good person. Because when we do that, heaven and earth will meet once again. Thank you. Good night.